Welcome to Financial Revelations. I am your host, David Safransky. And I want to, first of all, plug my Twitter account where you can go and get some news feed, some dog pictures, things like that will make your day a little bit brighter, some funny things. It's at David EPSF, and it'll be right up here on my copious forehead. Josh will do that for you, at David EPSF. If you have a Twitter account, be honest with you, I don't really like Twitter. But on Twitter, a lot of news comes out. A lot of companies break news on Twitter first now because it is public, and so it satisfies the requirement to break news publicly before acting on it. So if it's on Twitter, it's considered to be disseminated. So a lot of companies use Twitter. A lot of newspapers break news on Twitter first before they write the article or put it in print the next day, or even in addition that afternoon. So I really do like that aspect of it, but it is kind of a mean place. So be kind, okay? Be kind. Today I want to talk about one of my favorite topics, which is Chair Powell. And Chair Powell is the Federal Reserve Chairman, Jerome Powell. He was appointed by Donald Trump, and Donald Trump frequently abused him publicly to keep interest rates low, because there was, when he first became Fed chairman in 2018, they started what we call tapering their bond purchases, and led to the taper tantrum, and the market fell in December of 2018 quite precipitous. I'm sorry, 2017 quite precipitously. They reversed course. The market carried on, and they were right to reverse course. It was too early to taper, and they got the message, and they reversed course, and the market took back off again. But one of the things that Chair Powell has been saying, and the reason why I say Chair Powell is because there's a couple of reporters who will not say Chairman Powell. They say Chair Powell. And I think it's kind of funny, so I like to say it. There was a Securities and Exchange Commission commissioner named Sheila Bair, and they would say Chair Bear instead of Chairwoman Bear. It was just, reporters are odd people. I think they're mostly human for the most part, but odd people. What Chair Powell likes to say, that inflation can run hotter for longer because they believe it's transitory. And I'm going to get to that in a second. And it may be okay for him to let inflation run hotter for longer because they believe it's transitory, but it isn't for the market. And when they say, when Chair Powell says it's transitory, what they're saying is I'll give you an example. Lumber is extremely expensive right now. The cost of a house, of building a house, is probably 25% more for the exact same house over a year ago at this time. 25% more. You haven't added to the square footage, you haven't changed anything, you haven't upgraded your lumber package. It's 25% more. So the reason for that is because mainly Canada is closed. The borders are closed. They continued the border closure today, except for essential travel, which for most Canadians means to go to America to get health care much quicker. That's essential travel. But the cross-border transactions have mainly dried up. We get a lot of lumber from Canada, so that shortage of lumber from Canada is creating a price hike. So right now we have rising fuel prices, gas shortages in the Northeast. A lot of gas stations don't even have gas still. Rising house prices, rising lumber prices, rising food prices, which are a direct result of the rising fuel prices. Because you think of, if I grow a tomato out in the country, it's got to get to a store somehow. And it's going to start out with a truck from the field to a barn or some kind of collection site, back onto a truck, maybe on a train. But it's going to take gas to get that to the grocery store. The gas shortages are really a result of the pipeline closure from a hacking incident. The funny thing is that as that's happening and we have gas shortages, our president took off sanctions against a Russian pipeline, but won't let our pipelines get built. To me, that's going to cause a long-term supply disruption anytime there's a maintenance on a pipeline, there's a hacking incident, there's weather. Sometimes weather, if there's a really bad storm coming, they will shut down the pipeline just in case there's a break. Well, we killed Keystone Pipeline on day one of the Biden administration. Boy, would that have come in handy in this gas shortage. And even after, as this is going on, the administration's transportation secretary said the most efficient way to move oil, fuel, is with a pipeline. We killed the pipeline. Not only that, but we killed all the jobs around the pipeline. We killed the ancillary jobs like food and hotels. And it takes a long time to build a pipeline. There's a lot to do. It's all in the ground. So there's a lot of people working, welders, truck drivers, heavy equipment operators. That was a bad move, and I think we're starting to see that right now. So here's what happens. Here's what happens when we have these transitory, hopefully transitory inflation spikes. The market, the traders, the people in the market, we look at inflation totally different from Chair Powell. We ask, is it really transitory? And I could say, meaning for a time. Is this a blip in history where we're going to see it spike, and then as economies open back up, Canada opens back up, we'll get the lumber shipments and prices will go down. I think for lumber, that's probably a pretty safe bet that lumber prices will come down as transactions happen again. Housing, probably. I think housing will kind of come off. I don't think that fuel is actually going to come off very much because the infrastructure bill that we have going through Congress right now really pulls away from natural gas and oil and moves towards electrification. And with electrification, one of the things that the infrastructure bill does is it encourages stopping new drilling. And right now, a lot of our energy comes from natural gas. We have natural gas electric plants. And in some places we can't get enough natural gas to them. Really what we should be doing is drilling more natural gas wells, because natural gas has, for in the environment, has a lower carbon footprint. I hate that term, but I'm going to use it. It produces less carbon, less pollution than coal does. And so I just out of curiosity, when people have a Tesla, which I love, or an electric vehicle, where do they think the electricity comes from? Where is it coming from? It's coming from natural gas, it's coal, it's coming from nuclear, all things that the environmental wackos hate. So how are we going to power this electrified transportation system? What is going to provide the power? It's not going to be solar panels. It was never going to be windmills. It's never going to be windmills. That's who this. That is exactly who this infrastructure bill is satisfying. These people who want to do away with the energy sources that we currently have. We were energy independent. We are energy independent right now. We do not need Saudi Arabia. We are the largest oil producer in the world. We ship a lot of that oil out, and we still do buy oil from Saudi Arabia, but we are totally energy independent, and that is being sacrificed. And when that happens, you really put the Middle East back in the driver's seat, and we can see what's happening there right now. There's a lot of bad actors in the Middle East at this moment. So what I think is going to happen is the Fed may have their hand forced earlier than what they want and have to raise interest rates. We'll know, I think now with the way the vaccinations are going, more people are vaccinated now than ever before, and it's happening at an increasing rate. And the people that, if you take that with the people who have had the virus, we're approaching 55, 60% either had the virus or are vaccinated. We're going to get pretty close to full open in most places. New York, California are doing away with mask mandates. This will open things up. And so what I think is going to happen is, while we kind of figure this out, whether these inflationary pressures are transitory or they're permanent, I think the markets are going to be flat to lower. We're going to have days like the last couple of days where the markets are just getting beat up. You feel like you're getting your head handed to you in a basket every day. And then we'll get some snapbacks, and then we'll get our head handed to us in a basket. But what we need to do right now is we need to be ready. I'm not saying we're going to do this yet, but we need to be ready to come off of some of the trades we've made that we've held on to and take the money and be ready to reposition if this inflation is more than just a transitory problem and it is something that we're going to have to live with for a while. It's really going to depend a lot on government policy. If we keep giving people reasons not to work, where we're paying them to stay home as much as they were making when they were working, it's going to be inflation. If what's happening with a lot of states is they're getting away from the COVID kicker in unemployment. It was a federal COVID kicker that would give you a little bit more money while you're unemployed. Well, states are giving that back. They're saying that we're not going to participate in that. That is going to force people back into the marketplace, back into the workforce, and they will be productive, thereby lowering the chances of inflation. The more productivity we have, the less chance of inflation. So as long as we're producing goods and services while we're making the money, inflation can be transitory. If we're not doing that, then inflation will not be transitory. So we have to keep an eye on it. We're watching it. We're going to make some decisions late June, early July. I think that's when we'll really have a good picture of this. But I want you to know you can email questions to Joshua@epsf.com. It's going to be right up here, Joshua@epsf.com. You can follow me on Twitter. It's @DavidEPSF. Also up here right now, @DavidEPSF. We love to hear from people. We want to hear what you're thinking. We want to hear what your questions are. We want to answer questions. So reach out. Be part of this process because we love interacting with people, and we thank you for watching. I am David Safransky. This is Financial Revelations, and we'll talk to you next week.